All right, so recently this image surfaced. So what you guys are looking at right here, this is the off-white Jordan 4 Bread, as well as the off-white Jordan 1 High Canary Yellow. Now, apparently these are just samples, but rumor has it that we are expected to see the off-white Jordan 1 High return coming up this holiday season. Now, it's been a few years since Virgil passed, RIP. It's also been a few years since we actually saw the last off-white Jordan release. Now, as far as off-white Nike sneaker releases, the last pair that we saw drop, I want to say were those Air Terraforma joints, you know, the ones with the spikes on the bottom, which actually dropped all the way back in 2023. So with all of that being said, as far as like the whole fashion landscape overall, it kind of feels like people have moved on from off-white, which kind of dominated the whole hype beast era. So if we are expected to see off-white Jordan releases return and the rumors are true, do you feel like these sneakers are going to have the same original impact, or will they just be disregarded as a trend that is no longer cool anymore? So what's going on, everybody? You're watching John Alexander TV. Salute to you for tuning in. Now, 2017, this is where it all started right here, which, by the way, 2017 was a really interesting time in the sneaker world. At that time, it was a couple of years after Kanye had left Nike for Adidas. At that moment, I would say the Yeezy was probably the hottest sneaker currently on the market. But at the same time, the Jordan 1 was definitely rising in popularity, coming off of 2016, where Jordan Brand re-released a whole bunch of classic Jordan 1 colorways. Also, Virgil Abloh, who happened to be a protege of Ye, Nike brought him in to drop the official very first Nike Off-White The 10 collaboration. This collection essentially was a reimagining of all of these classic Nike Jordan brand silhouettes, even before the Jordan Reimagined series began. So some of the key design elements, of course, all of these pairs would feature like this cool deconstructed look, as well as the classic iconic Off-White hang tag, or whatever you want to call it. Now, as far as the original Off-White The 10 collection, that featured highlights such as the Off-White Jordan 1, which you see right here, reimagined in this classic OG Chicago colorway. So I feel like out of everything that Virgil and Off-White dropped, still to this day, this one is probably still the most iconic. You also had some other cool pairs, such as the Off-White Blazer right here, again featuring the iconic hand tag. You got the Air Max 90 right here. You also got the Air Presto, which low-key I would say is probably one of the more popular Off-White Nike releases when you look back on it. They brought these back a couple of different times. Here you also have the Hyper Dunk, which comes from the Nike basketball line. You got the Air Vapor Max, as well as the Air Max 97. So it's interesting to look back here at this original Off-White The 10 collection. You also got the Zoom Fly, which at the end of the day, a lot of these models, I guess you could look back and say they weren't exactly classic Nike silhouettes, but more a sign of the silhouettes that were dropping at that time. But of course, they did drop some classics in there, such as the Jordan 1, as well as these Air Force Ones, which here, the original 10 collection went down as super iconic. Now, you also had the Off-White Complex special release, which I believe they did eventually drop to the public. And after this, after the original 10, you started to see them continue to drop more pairs. You had the iconic MoMA pair, which still to this day, super rare, regarded as a grail sneaker. Them joints are just beautiful. You can't go wrong, with that simple classic. And Air Force One Off-White collaborations have, became iconic as well. Now, after that, they also did bring back the Jordan 1, which happened to be a European exclusive in this all-white colorway with the baby blue hand tag. Now, apparently, the rumor has it that we are supposed to see some type of variation of an all-white, off-white Jordan 1 dropping this Christmas, but we'll have to kind of wait on that. We also saw the Vapor Max return as well from Jordan Brand. I don't even think they are from Nike. They don't even drop this model anymore. Here's the white pair. You also had some Converse collaborations, which was cool because that was a part of the OG collection. And Nike, of course, Converse is under the Nike umbrella as well. Now, around this time, this is where we started to see some of the very first Off-White releases that I guess you could say didn't really bring in the same amount of hype. I guess you could say this was some of the first like bricks or maybe flops, if you want to even say, with this Off-White Mariel Zoom Fly. So they dropped them in the orange. You also had the black colorway as well. And then, of course, they had to bring the hype back with the UNC Off-White Jordan 1 High. So, man, these are just great times looking back at these releases. You also, again, had the Prestos return. I feel like looking back on it, that was definitely underrated. A lot of people said that the Prestos were actually real comfortable. So you had the black, as well as the white pair. They continued to drop more off-white blazers, which I feel like this one kind of just came and went. You also have the black version as well. I want to say that dropped around like holiday time, something like, around Halloween or something like that. Then you also had another pair of off-white Chuck Taylors. I definitely remember this one. This is when I feel like off-white was starting to kind of get played out as far as like the fashion scene. You guys remember like all the people that used to wear like them crazy, disgusting off-white fits? I feel like this is when we started to kind of see it get overplayed. You also had another Air Max 97, which I want to say this has something to do with like Serena Williams or something like that. You also have the black version as well. Here we have another off-white blazer. So you guys see kind of where it went. The first original 10 collection was iconic, but then just in typical Nike fashion, they continued to pump out release after release to a point where it kind of started to become a little bit overdone, a little bit played out. You know how it typically goes. But then, of course, anytime they dropped one of these off-white Air Force Ones, the people went crazy, even for a super loud color like this Volt pair right here. Then they had to bring it back to the classic black. Man, these were good times. Again, another Air Max 90. Now, the funny thing about some of these releases is that like this is back when sneakers were reselling like crazy. I remember specifically I bought these joints right here for resale with no intention of actually wearing them, but just to hold on to them for like a couple of months and then flip them for like an additional like few $100s or something like that. That's when like sneaker reselling was at its peak or whatever like that. But just for the record, guys, I'm not a sneaker reseller. Now, right here again, you have these special off-white Air Force One releases going down. Again, you have this beautiful blue pair. Now here, these are the Terra ones, the ones that had featured the spikes on the bottom. I thought this design was really cool. I thought it was innovative. I thought it was funky, something fresh from Virgil. But again, this is one of these off-white releases that the public didn't really respond to well. And you know, everybody was calling these joints bricks at the time, but I thought they were actually pretty cool. So they dropped a bunch of different colorways. This is where we started to see Virgil kind of, you know, get away from the typical just reimagining of classic Nike pairs and bring a little something new to the table with these like fresh, innovative designs. But it seems like people weren't really rocking with them like that. I think they look pretty cool though. Let me know what y'all think down below. So let's go ahead and run through all of these. Now, in 2019, the Nike Dunk Low was probably like the most popular sneaker, I guess, on the market. 2019, 2020. Is that the time where everybody was wearing Panda Dunks? So, of course, with the off-white Dunks, the story continued. What they did is they added this additional set of laces or whatever you want to call it, straps, to give it this extra design element. And people were going crazy for these, which when we look back at these off-white Dunk Lows, I would have to say that these were definitely a sign of the times. I feel like they haven't aged too well when compared to, like, let's say the original off-white, the 10 collection. Now, again, we started to continue to see more off-white Jordan releases. This was 2020 where we actually got the off-white Jordan 5s, which I believe Virgil said that he was a huge fan of the original metallics, which is where this, of course, design was based off of. These, again, contain the additional hole in design there, which at the time was pretty cool. When we look back on it, I think what I appreciate the most out of these off-white Jordan 5s would have to be the vintage age look, which has kind of become like almost a signature look for a lot of sneaker designs. And then we had the off-white Jordan 4 Sail, which when these dropped in 2020, again, this is when the Jordan 4 was probably at its peak popularity. This pair was a women's exclusive release, but it didn't stop all the guys from trying to get their hands on it. And I feel like looking back at 2020, this pair right here probably was one of the most popular Jordan releases, I would say, of that year. And looking back on it, man, these joints just look so great. You got the iconic Air featured on the midsole. Them joints are still great to this day. Here you had the off-white Air Rubber Dunk, which looking back on it, Virgil, I feel like he was trying to bring something new to the table, but not even gonna lie, these joints have aged pretty bad. But as I always like to say, if you guys like them, I love them. We got another pair of the off-white Jordan 5s. This one comes in with the sail colorway, but of course pays homage to the OG Fire Red. Gotta love these. Still a fan of the vintage age sole. I feel like it still looks great to this day. Again, here you got some more off-whites where Virgil tried to take some of these running models to the next level, infusing the spikes, but didn't really seem to connect with the people. And then here we had the off-white, the 50, which of course these featured a whole bunch of different lots of dunks. This is right around the time, I think, when Virgil, this is actually right before he passed away. Again, rest in peace to the GOAT. But I feel like this is just when Nike was just kind of overdoing it. They dropped 50 different styles of dunks all at the same time in limited quantities. People were going crazy for these, trying to buy up all of the different colors. Some people thought other pairs were better than others. They switched up the materials. They had to do a lot because remember, they're bringing 50 different variations of the off-white dunk low. So I remember when them joints dropped. In my opinion, still feel like them joints haven't really aged too well. And then we got the Jordan 2 off-white, which when it comes to this pair, you got the deconstructed look, you got the crumbling effect on here. They're bringing out everything. You got the MJ signature. And for me, I feel like over time, like nobody has ever really appreciated Jordan 2s and especially Jordan 2 lows. Like in the past, it was blasphemous to wear Jordan 2 lows. But to me, not even gonna lie, man, I don't know if I'm a hype beast or not, but just for me, with this release right here, Virgil, he gave me an appreciation for the Jordan 2 low. And after this pair released, now I actually like the Jordan 2 lows even more than I like the Jordan 2 highs. They also dropped the black colorway, but for me, that classic white Chicago colorway to me was the goated. This is a blazer low, which I'm not a huge fan of these. And then of course they did drop the Terraforma joints, which were, I believe, Virgil's very first like all original model, which he designed before he passed. Those dropped in 2023, and then at some time we did get another off-white Air Force One. But since then, things have been pretty quiet as far as off-white Jordan releases. At one point, there was this article which surfaced, which it was Virgil's wife saying that they had a whole bunch of off-white Jordan releases in the tuck or off-white Nike releases, and we just had to wait to see if they drop. But looking back on it, back to my original question, as we, take a look at the current fashion landscape, off-white isn't really as popular as it once was during the whole hypebeast era. So when Nike, or if they do decide to bring back these off-white Jordan Nike releases, do you guys feel like they're going to hit the same? I'm not really sure, but we'll have to kind of wait on it. Rumor has it we are supposed to see those off-white Jordan 1 highs drop coming up later this year. And just based off the comment section, recently Fat Joe, he did share his sample unreleased pair of these off-white Jordan 4 breads. And I would have to say, just based off the comment section, it seems like people aren't really rocking with these the same as when we originally saw these samples surface. This person put, these are overhyped and trash, to be honest, not to mention how horrible they're gonna look with the plastic yellows. None of the off-whites show age well. The yellowing ruins them over time. They're cheaply constructed and materials just feel flimsy. I don't own a single off-white shoe. Exactly, you don't own a single pair. And low-key, it just kind of comes off as hate to me. I feel like the aging is great. And I feel like overall, like aging when it comes to sneakers, is cool because it just shows character. It just shows the story and everything like that. Somebody put, yeah, I think it's time we all admit these are ugly. Somebody put, yeah, they have not aged well and they shouldn't have been released, or they should have been released during the hype. He gonna have them lean into the left soon as he put them on. Yeah, so it seems like overall a lot of hate for these, but then again, when it comes to comment sections for sneaker looks, there's usually a lot of hate, especially surrounding Fat Joe. But I feel like low-key, although like as far as in the fashion scene, people have moved on from these hype brands like Off-White, I feel like the sneaker and fashion world are like almost two different worlds. I feel like when it comes to sneakers, they're kind of like behind the trends and everything like that. So I think honestly, if Jordan brand does decide to drop these off-white Jordans, I still think people are going to go just as crazy for them, especially with a classic model such as the Jordan 1. And if they decide to drop these off-white Jordan 4 breads, or even the canary yellow pairs, I still think people will go crazy. Will it still hit the same as when the original off-white, when everything was in its full circulation? Probably not. But then again, it's the sneaker community, and these are pairs that people have been waiting on for years. So if they drop, I still think it will hit.